Hey everyone, welcome to British Business with Matt Holland. Today I've got James Starky on from Black Lab Digital. We talk about the challenges of that first hire. Make sure you give it a watch. So, James,
Hi, Matt.
welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
How was the drive down from Leeds this morning? Is it Leeds?
I actually live up near the Dales in a place called Skipton, so
yeah.
it's actually a bit nearer where we are now, so it's pretty easy to get here. It was all right. The M60 was kind to me this morning.
It's so difficult. I live over in Disley, and to get here on a good day, when traffic's clear, 30 minutes. But there's been one occasion when me and Morgan and Tom first started filming the podcast, and it took an hour and 20, and it was like, oh my God. And it's just, you know what it's like. You want to get here on time.
So when you're in a rush, it'll be busy. When it's quiet, you're in no rush, it'll be quiet and you'll get here and you'll end up twiddling your thumbs in the car park.
Exactly. So, but we're here. So welcome to the podcast. So for people listening, it's James Starky from Black Lab Digital. James, I've known you for a while now.
Yeah, I think I remember our first conversation you called in COVID, needing some help on your website, and I remember it very clearly.
Were we your first, I suppose, client from no referral?
Yeah.
Just online,
Probably, yeah. It'd be up there, one of the first that just came, if you like, cold.
Yeah, I just tapped in on Google, help. And you came up. Yeah, so no, I mean, basically today we're just going to have a bit of a chat about yourself, your entrepreneurial journey, with business, life as well. I think listeners, you're our second guest, but the vision is for it to be about you, the story of your business, how you got into business, and then maybe some bits and pieces that we kind of drift into, I suppose. So, so Black Lab, when did you first set Black Lab Digital up?
So I left the agency I was working at in 2017, I think around May.
Yeah.
2016 around May. And then I actually partnered with somebody else who was a creative, and we worked in my parents' barn, which downstairs is essentially just a storage room. Upstairs, it's all been floorboarded out. No heating, and I remember being in there in January wearing like 2 coats, tapping away on my computer, thinking, God, this is hard work.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah, why am I doing this? And especially in those early days, it's hard because you're trying to make it work. I had one client, my partner at the time. He brought a couple of clients into the equation, but I think ultimately it became clear quite quickly he wanted 2 very different things. Like he very much wanted a lifestyle business where he could come in at 11 and leave at 3, 2, and go for a long dog walk and do all the things he likes doing, which is great. I got to the point like I want to try and build something.
Yeah.
So we kind of had the conversation. We sort of parted ways.
Was it called Black Lab Digital at that point, or was it just you guys working together as 2 sole traders?
No, we were a limited company. We had a different name, but it wasn't Black Lab at all.
But this is the roots of where Black Lab came from.
Yeah, it was. I think that was the moment when I thought I want more than just to necessarily make a living. Yeah. So we're still friends today. But he went off, did his thing, I did my thing. And then I was in, I think it was January of 2017, I was sat in that barn by myself at that point with a little gas heater in the corner trying to heat it up. And I was like, right, come on then, let's get our foot down. And luckily a friend of my parents, he had an office in a town nearby us, and he said, I've got a spare desk, come and use that. And I remember the first day walking in, and I thought to myself, it's warm. I can get the job done here.
It's a really interesting thing just to touch on straight away. Do you think environment is really important for entrepreneurship, or when you're running your own business? If you're in that environment where it's just you in a room on your own, you mentioned there kind of moving into an office more centralized. Was that a big thing for you? Did it help with mindset perhaps?
I think so. It made it feel more professional and more real. And I wasn't paying anything at the time. And then when I eventually did 18 months later, it was very much peppercorn kind of money. So it was more of a gesture more than anything. But I think being around other people who, he'd been in business 20 odd years, and that sharing of ideas, I think probably just jumping to kind of something that's on topic now, the whole office versus home working thing. Like, I think the hybrid approach is great,
Yeah.
but I get so much more value of being in the office, sat next
Yeah.
to my colleagues. But at the same time, I really enjoy and value my Mondays and Fridays when I'm at home, because I'm not actually getting pulled from pillar to post.
Yeah,
I
and
can get my head down.
it's clean thinking time as well.
Yeah,
Or problem solving time, dependent upon
definitely.
what conditions are like. So, before I ask you kind of like what is Black Lab Digital, what did your so you straight away there you started a business, you were quite clearly entrepreneurially minded. Where do you think that fire in your belly came from in your younger years? So you went to university, I'm guessing, and
Yeah, I did all that. I did a I don't know if it still runs, a program at school called Young Enterprise.
right, okay,
And if you did business as a class, you could then do this as like a bolt-on module at school.
yeah,
So it was done in your free time, if you like. And they split the class in two. And as with all these sort of group things at school, you get some kids that get really engaged and some of them that just sort of drift along to get
Yeah.
the grade or
Yeah,
whatever. And at the time, my dad, well, his whole career, he made duvets and pillows. So I said, can we buy duvets and pillows off you and then sell them to the school parents? So essentially send a leaflet home at half-term report time in the package that we'll pack into people's reports. And then they can buy duvets. The ones that you get in John Lewis or the White Company, so really good, high-quality stuff. But because we had no overheads being students, and terms of credit were probably quite good due to the fact my dad worked for the company. We were able to create this business off the bat. And I remember
that is fascinating.
earning, until really today, I hadn't really reflected on it like that. But I remember that first time I was holding a few £100s, because this was back 2005. A few wads of cash at the age of 17, 18 felt like millions to us. That's probably where it started.
That fire or that interest in that drive to do something.
Yeah, and do more, I think. I think when you work for someone, there's pros and cons to having your own business. There's also pros and cons to being an employee. But I think to a degree, when you're working for somebody, you've kind of, there's not necessarily a ceiling, but there can be, and you can't necessarily see a route up. So I always thought having my own business would be an opportunity to achieve more, and do more. And I think probably as I've got older, I've a bit less liked being told what to do and where to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I could now go back to being told where I need to be at what time.
I think as a business owner, you over time you become rather unemployable.
Yeah, you do yourself out of a job.
Yeah, exactly. So if either of our businesses were to fail in the future or something like that, you're basically going to have to start again. It's kind of it's the nature of being a business owner, because you kind of develop a skill set that is, different.
Yeah, it's very intangible, and I think, as we said before we started recording, you become a jack of all trades, especially in the early doors, and you've got to be prepared to wear those hats.
Yeah,
because a lot of people aren't.
100%. That's fascinating, because when we had Paul from Mage Cloud on as our first guest, he was telling us this story of how he used to basically go and pick apples. He was from Ukraine originally. Pick apples, and then he would sell them at school. And it's that those kind of those early days. It's interesting how it forms into who we are. So you left school, went off to university. What did you study at uni?
Somehow I ended up doing a business management degree. I've no idea how I chose it. But I did that. I did that at Newcastle. So the education there was all right.
How well did that prepare you for running your own business?
Probably more than I give it credit for, actually.
Right.
I think there's probably a few things that I've just taken for granted that I've known and understood. And then when I've had other people in the business and they've asked questions, I've sort of thought, well, why have you not known that? And actually, it's probably because I've done the course.
I think really interestingly, there's a lot of business owners that end up in business, and I was one of these, to be clear, that don't understand, for example, what a P&L looks like. They don't understand the difference between revenue and net profit. They don't understand the difference between gross profit and net profit. So having that kind of academic background almost in understanding the theory behind business, it's very helpful, because you almost you haven't had to go on that journey alongside running the business and growing it, of learning the fundamental basics, because you kind of had that foundational knowledge.
Yeah, I'd say foundation's the key word, though, because I think I would say only in the last year, some of that stuff we've really,
Right.
as a business, properly nailed. And there's
Yeah.
we work with a chap called Gareth Healy, who's been successful in Leeds in the
Yeah.
in the marketing agency world. And he's really helped drive that for us. But without
Yeah.
him, we probably wouldn't have got to where we are now.
I think that's a really interesting point. A lot of businesses don't monitor KPIs. They don't monitor in and out, just at a very fundamental level. They just presume that, well, if I'm taking lots of revenue, I'm doing great. And they don't monitor the costs and look at the difference. And yeah, it's funny because similar for me, I didn't really fully monitor that stuff until 5-6 years in. So it's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
because you do exactly. So I remember especially that first 2 years when I was completely by myself. I'd just be like, right, well, I take this much money out of the business, which was very modest, and then the business is earning this much money. And I actually remember when I got VAT registered, that was a complete surprise to me.
yeah,
But that's because I was so busy doing the delivery and kind of trying to do or get a new business, that as long as you kind of think, well, there's more coming in than there's going out, I'll be all right. And then you get whacked with your corporation tax bill or your
or your
VAT bill.
yeah, exactly. All those turnover taxes and the
How
profit taxes.
how have you gone through that process, the amount of learning?
Failing. Getting burnt. I think that's the only way you do learn, though. I think you go through that. It's like stepping stones, and then you misstep, and you go back a little bit, and you've got to go again. It's a process, and I think a lot of business owners get very frustrated because they're not where they want to be.
Yeah.
But to get there, you have to go, and you have to fail a little bit. So it's part and part of the process, I suppose. Well, it's interesting to ask you about this start. So tell me, what is Black Lab Digital for people listening, just so we understand a bit about the business. What is it now, and then we'll talk about where it started. And
Yeah, so if I had to distill it down in its most simple form, we deliver SEO and performance marketing campaigns for clients. So the performance marketing obviously spans your Google, Bing ads, as well as paid social media. But I think that's all the whole lot is fundamentally changing. And I'm noticing the conversations we're having with clients are fundamentally changing, and predominantly, and it's such a buzzword I'm bored of hearing it, is AI, and more how the search engines are bringing this in. So I'm likening this to the jet age. We're at the age where, if you think of a Spitfire at the end of the Second World War, it comes up against a German brand new jet fighter. If you don't adapt, you're going to begin to get left behind. Yeah, that Spitfire will still do a job for you, but it's going to everything else is going to accelerate much faster. And we're at that stage now with what we see coming down the road, especially from an organic, and how that we think is going to affect paid in the long run.
Yeah.
We've got to adapt.
Fascinating. And it's not just your business or industry; it's every business. So actually, this podcast in a way has become a business and AI podcast because it's just dominating the everything that we talk about. It's so fascinating. But before we get into AI, because we're recording a second episode after this where you're going to be co-host because Tom's on holiday, and we're going to chat a little bit about small business and AI and how businesses can leverage it a little bit. So check that episode out next week. But going back to Black Lab, so you help businesses with their visibility online. That would be my interpretation of what you've said there from a layman's perspective.
And that's actually probably where we're getting to now. It's a visibility, and one thing we really do that I think helps set us apart is, a lot of people talk about being trustworthy and honest and things like that, which, there's loads of great businesses out there, and hopefully, we're classed in the same sort of league as them. But I think what we do is we look at why people want to work with us. So, we kind of help future-proof them. We give them that consistency so they know they can report to their senior board members or whoever it might be, that they've got people that are responsible at the helm.
What if you were to describe your ideal client? What does that look like in terms of size? Because that's something that interests me. Because obviously you've got economies of scale, and bigger clients mean that you can charge more. They've got more to invest in this type of spend. What's like the start? What's the lowest kind of size of customer? Where do you end up, and what's your ideal?
Yeah, I'm sort of going to not answer your question here, but at the same time in a roundabout way. I think for us, we tend to look at a client, see if they've got a marketing manager, a marketing department, or somebody that is their responsibility. They might have some other responsibilities, but as soon as we know that, it's a big tick in the box, because usually it then means they've got budget allocated and time to put a strategy towards it. And then in terms of figures, a business probably turning over 1.5 million to 2 million is probably a good
ideal customer.
A good start. I think ideal probably a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah.
Again, ones that have a defined budget for marketing over the course of the year.
That's fascinating, because there's a huge breadth of small businesses between doing 60 grand a year, 50 grand a year, sole traders, up to that £1 million turnover, which the percentage of businesses, I don't know the statistic off the top of my head, but the percentage of businesses that hit £1 million turnover is a very small percentage. But because of the nature of the work that you do, your niche is that audience, basically. That's who you're.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, we've got clients probably more historic that fall into that category you've just described, and we love them. They're all lovely people to work with, and we do great results. But I think as well that especially the performance marketing, and especially PPC, is changing to a point where those businesses 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago could have been quite competitive with, let's say, pay-per-click. They're now getting to a point where it's not necessarily as viable because cost per clicks are going up massively. So actually it's a place where only people with slightly bigger budgets are able to probably play and own the market space.
Interesting. So going back a little bit in time then, so we talked about the pre-Black Lab and then the Black Lab of today. What did that journey look like when you moved into Leeds and you work in that office? You were a one-man band for a little bit.
Yeah, so about 2 years. And so I did a lot of delivery. My ability to build websites personally went from pretty low to fairly good. But that's my background was client services. So I understood the kind of technical elements of a lot of what we did, but I didn't necessarily know all the detailed implementation.
Was there a little bit of conversation with clients where you had the conversation, you said, yeah, we can do that, and then you had to work out how to do it afterwards?
Oh, completely, yeah. Somebody uses it like the analogy of a duck. You're nice and calm on the top, underneath.
Yeah.
You're pedaling like
that's
mad.
Small business. That's what, when you start your own business, that's what, well, I mean, it's even like that now, to be honest with you. It's like,
I was very open at the time, though, that I used specialists. So over my time in agencies, I built up a network of either colleagues that had gone freelance, or through other agencies we'd used freelance. So I had a good little black book, if you like, of people that I knew I could trust.
I think subcontracting out work as a small business when you're getting started is a really good way of scaling, but offering really good quality to your customers, to your clients, because you're pulling in expertise rather than trying to wing it and do it entirely yourself. It's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, completely. So that we don't massively go after doing website work. We need that capability to do conversion rate optimization, implement tracking. So we do have capability in-house, and we still have freelancers we use for that, but I wouldn't go necessarily after big web projects. I'd always pass them on to a specialist. But at the time, I knew I could take on a small brochure website for a local fabrication business. So I could do that. Or if we wanted something, but we worked for a big sort of mailing company at the time. They did personalized direct mail stuff. We rebuilt the website. I got a designer that I knew to design it, and then a freelance dev to do the dev, and we built something great. It looked brilliant. It was one of the nicest sites I'd sort of ever worked on at that point. But I personally couldn't have done it. And that's one thing I've always known my limitations. And I don't want to let somebody down. So I don't take someone's money and then all of a sudden them be going, well, you've taken my money. You've done a terrible job. That's not what
I think that's
a conversation I want to have.
I think that's really good of you to say that. But there's a lot of businesses that don't do that. And actually there's a lot of power in saying no to clients. It's a really good thing to do, actually, because there's a lot of businesses out there that I think sometimes overextend themselves and say yes too much. And I mean, the flip of that is, from an entrepreneurial perspective, my mindset is say yes and then make it work. But perhaps the caliber of some business owners, they're not then able to follow through. So it's a bit of a difficult path to follow, I think.
And I guess it's within your wheelhouse, isn't it? So if I said to you all of a sudden, right, I want you to start stocking high heels, you might know nothing about the high heels
Yeah.
market, being a country clothing supplier. So it's going to really stretch you. You might be able to make it work, but you're maybe not going to compete with Holland's High Heels, who have been in business 20 years. And so I would rather somebody think better of me in the business by saying, I can't do it, you need to go and speak to Matt. He'll sort you out and look after you.
Do you think in a way your business is almost, obviously you offer a breadth of services now, but you're a bit of a problem solver / connector for businesses. So you've got quite a good network around you where if people funnel into you, you can then pivot them off and direct them in the right direction.
Yeah, completely. And I think I had a conversation with a big dev house in Leeds the other day, and they were very much like, we do these things, we don't do what you do. So great to have met you because we can funnel stuff your way. And likewise, we had a project for, I won't mention them, but a big agency down in London that wanted to rebuild the website, and I responded, say, we can't do this project for you. We could technically deliver it. We actually didn't have the project management capability in house at the time.
Yeah.
But we had noticed some holes in their brief, so we actually went and said, yeah, go and speak to these. This is who we would recommend if you want a referral, but actually you need to be thinking about these things if you want to have a conversation. Anyway, 2 years ago that was, and we're now working with them because, again, we were open and straightforward and honest about what they should and shouldn't be spending
They
their
will
money
have
on.
remembered that. And they will have gone down a garden path that didn't quite work out, and then they've come back. So yeah, that's quite interesting. So how many people work at Black Lab now?
There was 8 of us a week ago. There's now 7. We've had someone leave. Yeah,
that's natural. There's input and output.
But we've probably got 3 to 4 freelancers we use on a regular basis. One of them, she does a little bit of client-facing work for us, but predominantly she helps us with our marketing. Another is when we need more complex dev stuff, we've got a guy we use for dev. And then we've got a digital designer that, as it happens, is the same building as, and I've known him for quite a long time, so it's really convenient to be able to just call on him.
So 7, 8 at the moment. So in 2017, it was yourself for 2 years, 2019, 2020. Who was your first hire?
Well, Nick, so my co-director Nick joined. So he joined in June 2019. He joined the business. And I remember that first day I walked into the office. He walked in shortly afterwards, and we looked at each other like, right, what do we do? What do we do now? We'd actually taken on an office that we were paying for.
Right, wow.
Taken on Nick as a salary as well for the business. So I'd amassed funds in the business at that point. So whilst on paper the business isn't split 50-50, we run it 50-50. It's, I check with him decisions, he checks with me decisions, and touch wood, we've gone 5 years, never an argument in between that, 3 children and a pandemic.
I think it's very strong having, even if you're not necessarily equal in equity, having a business partner or business partners. Obviously, I'm a family-run business, so we tend to make most decisions either with everyone in agreement or the majority. But what it means is the quality of the decision making is higher.
You've got someone to challenge you, which I think is really, really important. And I think there's been a few occasions where I think Nick and I are very similar. We're both quite, I'm not talking about political leaning, but more conservative, and we're quite steady. But there's times when I'm probably a bit more gung-ho. And Nick will be like, not sure that's quite the right idea. But he does it in a nice way that it doesn't feel like a passive-aggressive challenge or anything like that. And you go, well, actually, okay, I'm glad you've put the brakes on that a little bit, because that would have been the wrong idea.
I think that's really important, kind of having that check-in point. Small business owners that are, because kind of when you're on your own, that period, that two years before Nick got involved, what was that like with decision making? Did you have someone that you were bouncing thoughts off, or did you speak to your partner about it, your parents, friends? Can you remember?
I've had a child since then. I'm trying to think. It was a bit of I was probably very lucky in those early days. I had, from the moment I went by myself, I had a client that was on a very healthy retainer. I'd be very happy for a retainer at that level now. That really filled in. And then again, through just working my own network and contacts of contacts, I built up a really good stable amount of work, which kept me really busy. So I had no worries really.
So it kind of, you didn't hit a problem, is what you're saying.
And do you know what? In hindsight, I wonder if that held me back in some ways, because I didn't have to put myself out there as much.
Right, yeah.
So I was
Yeah,
very comfortable. I was delivering good work and getting good feedback from people, but at the same time, I didn't have to go, okay, what's next? Because I
yeah.
had retained work. It looked quite good. I had no overhead. I just had to pay myself and anything I owed in terms of taxes. So it was always, those first years were quite probably easy. The first few months were probably hard because I had no money essentially,
Yeah, yeah.
and I didn't want to try and dip into savings. So I used some savings to keep me going, but then just
Yeah.
took a minimal amount. But once I kind of got past that barrier, it was fairly straightforward. I think the big jump for me, especially once Nick was in, was the first hire. That was the thing I was
Yeah.
most nervous about.
Who was that?
It was an apprentice.
Did it go well?
No, we got rid of her after 3 months.
That's the story of running a business, though.
Yeah.
It's finding the right people. You can find people, but then ultimately it takes a few reps, I think, to find the right one.
Yeah, and do you know what the big thing is? As we've kind of hired more people, is the zero. Maybe this is a bit of a cliche, but it's like the zero skill things: turning up on time, doing what you say you're going to do, having the right attitude.
There are so many people that don't have those skills.
Yeah, completely. And just we recently, in the last year or so, we've had somebody a bit like that who actually a bit more quite a lot more senior, who just couldn't get to being on time regularly.
Yeah, it's those kind of basic fundamentals. And if you're building, because one of my note points is like team culture and delivery. Culturally within Black Lab, I view you guys as really good people to work with. Are you quite disciplined as a business in terms of those fundamentals? And then the problem is if you get someone come in now that doesn't follow that, everyone else is like, why is Fred only just turned up?
Yeah,
It's difficult.
probably similar to you. I like to try and set the bar
Yeah.
as to what I expect, and I think everyone we've had in sort of since then has, you know, we've got I can call her out. She's great. Sam, our client services lead.
Yeah, she's lovely.
She's in early. She works until she needs to get it done. I don't also want to see people working late or having to come in
Yeah,
early, because then we're getting something wrong as a business. Everyone should be able to deliver their work in the day, and there might be odd occasion where you have to work late. It happens. And I've never had to have that conversation with her. She just does it. All those, as I say, the zero skill things, just the things you expect. She turns up. You know, if we've got a meeting, she always dresses smart, for example, but she
knows, she gets it.
She just gets it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the guys we've got at the moment are like that. And I think when you maybe have somebody that strays a little bit, if you can pull them in a little bit and see how they respond. If they don't respond, I think that's a big tale.
What do you think is the biggest challenge that you face at the moment as a business?
Probably personally for me, and I think we're doing quite well at addressing it, is our new business funnel.
So acquiring new customers.
Yeah, acquiring new customers. But as well, and another personal thing for me is the management of people in the HR side, because that's not something I've had a huge amount of experience with.
Do you use a third-party partner on HR or anything like that?
Yeah, well, we do. And actually, if you're happy, I'll just call them out because they're great.
Yeah.
Howarth's, they're based just outside Leeds.
Yeah.
So I went to a webinar run, I think it was by like a Leeds City Council business growth thing, and Gavin Howarth, he was running it. So he does a lot of that, I suppose, new business generation.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with what he said, and then we got to this point we needed it, so I reached out, and obviously his team then get involved, and so we pay a flat fee.
It's the beauty of working with a B2B business, a third party, a service based business. They are problem solvers.
Yeah.
So they just fix the issue for you in the same way that your business fixes issues and problems for other businesses.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating, really. So your challenge is systemizing and getting those things in place so that you've got the structure ready to grow. Is that
yeah. So for instance, on like our processes, Sam, client service lead, I was just talking about, she spent loads of time putting project management processes and onboarding, all those things. She's achieved a lot of that, which is great. But some of this, if you like, softer, more operational sort of bits and pieces that we need to get on, but I've not got the background or knowledge in it, so really having to learn it. And having gone through, as we're talking about outside, we did have somebody that exited the business recently, having gone through that was eye-opening for me about what I needed to make sure I did. And we're
Yeah.
probably overly cautious, sort of ticking boxes and things
Yeah.
like that.
I think it's very difficult though as a business owner because you're taking on so much risk employing someone these days. From a HR perspective, tribunals, it's really challenging and scary.
Mm,
So then because of all this legislation that's come in or going to come in soon with the new the bill that the Labour Party, the government are bringing in around HR, it doesn't pay to be an employer in a way because it's like you've got to offer this person a job, they're going to work for you, but then there's these long lists of rights that they get on day one,
yeah.
and it's so difficult, as we know, to find that good person on the first go. There's so many occasions where I've hired for a role and not got it quite right first time round and had to let someone go, allow them to move on, and then bring someone else in. And I mean, I can say it, my ops manager, Danny, he was the second attempt, and I'm glad we went for a second attempt because he was fantastic, but it's still a process that you have to go through. And
Yeah.
if the onerous and the challenges that government put on businesses, it's hard
Yeah. And they're taking a lot of the incentive away to
to
do
take the
it.
risk.
Yeah.
To take the risk.
And like you say, it can take you some time to actually understand whether that person's the right person for you. I know on one of your earlier podcasts, you've talked about, people that have interviewed really well. We've had
Yeah.
that. People have smashed it, and you think, great, just what we need. They're bringing
You get
experience from the company.
and, this is going to be amazing.
And then 4, 5, 6 months down the line, you're a bit like,
Oh shit!
they're not. I like them. They're nice people, but they're not.
I have
for
a
us.
probationary period of 6 months within my business as standard, and you need it.
Yeah.
You have to have it. So
You want to see what people are like once they've probably not taken the foot off the gas,
Yeah.
necessarily, but they've got a bit more comfortable.
definitely. So what does the rest of 2025, 2026 look like for you as a business? What are your kind of goals? Where do you want to grow the business? Are you happy with the size you are? Like where do you want to be in the next 12 months, 5 years?
Yeah, we're definitely on a growth plan at the
Yeah.
moment. So probably not necessarily, we might need the odd extra individual, but in terms of people, we've actually got a lot of the right people in the right positions for what we need, and we have some capacity that we can fill in. For us, it's going to be actual clients and making the numbers on the month end look right.
Better,
Yeah, and that will help obviously with that profit margin.
It's finding the right clients, finding the right people within
Yeah.
the business. I mean, you've got some great people, Nadia, Martin, Monty, like you've got a good team. But it's just then finding what you don't want to do is bring someone in that just creates a bit of an imbalance, which is a big challenge for small businesses. If you've got 5 or 6 employees and you bring a 7th or 8th in and it's like they don't quite fit, it's really hard.
Yeah, that cultural fit. I'm sure you'll
Yes.
see it, and you've got some dynamics. You've got obviously the warehouse, and you've got the office
Very different people.
staff, and they're probably very different people. So I mean, how do you manage that?
We have an underlying culture within our business of kind of hard work and discipline, and accountability and open conversations.
Mhm.
So anyone that works within our business, they understand that we will be direct, but it's a two-way door. So we anticipate that in return. I think, and also we don't tolerate average. So if we have someone come in that's average and they're not necessarily wanting to get on, then we're not complacent in terms of we don't retain people beyond where we should. We move people on. And I think what you've got to do as a business owner is you've got to think about that from a perspective you're protecting your employees. Because if you let complacency in, you're in a scenario where their jobs become at risk because the business becomes average. So that's my mindset.
It's interesting on that. I had, in the past, I've had individuals come to me and go, I'm not confident that this has been the right hire for you. And I know it's maybe not my place, but I just felt because we're a small business and I really value the company, I need to verbalize that.
Well, a challenge with that is detecting whether or not that is accurate versus sometimes employees can be very protective over the status quo. If you have someone come into your business that brings in new ideas or change, typically the average person they don't embrace change.
No.
So sometimes I've been in scenarios exactly like that where I'm like, okay, yeah, no, thank you for that feedback. But in the back of my head, I'm going, is it because they've come in and rustled a few feathers? So it's that that dilemma, I
But
suppose.
I think the fact you're questioning that is right.
Yeah.
I had 3 separate people
Yeah, exactly.
come to me with, I think they were it's much more of a soft, the issues they were raising were soft things and multiple lots of things rather than that. But
Well, it's because they care.
yeah, I mean, I had one of the members, nearly in tears because she cared that much and was so worried that it would affect my relationship with them.
Yeah.
And it didn't. And I just said, look, I'd never want you to feel that. I want you to be able to talk openly.
Yeah.
I might disagree with you, but at least I know what you're thinking.
No. Yeah, definitely. Well, listen, we're going to cap that episode off there. I think that's a really great introduction. If you wanted to plug Black Lab, how do people find you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I'm active on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so
I'm
James Starky.
James Starky, or just search for Black Lab. We've got quite a colourful logo with a B on the side. Or just blacklabdigital.co.uk. Just come and find us
And of
there.
course, the story behind the name is you have a black Labrador.
I do. That's a bit of a misnomer.
Brown
actually.
Labrador.
No, he's black. He's a black lab. But no, the idea was actually it was more the service we're offering was about labs, like laboratories. As you've probably gathered, I like aircraft. So there's the Skunk Works, the back where they make like the B-1 bomber and stuff. It's all super secretive, and they're doing lots of clever things. So that's sort of where it stemmed from.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, everyone assumes just because I have a black lab.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to chat about visibility for their business online, reach out to you on LinkedIn or search and make an inquiry via the website.
Yeah, LinkedIn you'll probably get hold of me even quicker, but we're pretty responsive on any website inquiries. I am doing two little plugs actually. I have a short document I'll run people through about what's coming down the line.
Fantastic.
There's more jet and aircraft analogies in there for people that like that sort of thing. That's half an hour just talking through people what's coming down the road and things they can do. We're offering it to branding agencies that want to know a bit more about it. We're offering it to clients. Anybody is welcome to have half an hour of my time.
Fantastic. So make sure you reach out to James, guys. Thank you very much for coming on.
Great to see you, Matt.
And we'll see you on the next episode because you're going to be my co-host in a minute.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Excellent. Cheers, James. Thank you.
Bye.